Well, my friends, welcome to another episode from the Cumberland Outdoorsman. This is going to be another one of my 22 rimfire series videos, and here's the long-awaited rifle that I've been looking for quite some time. You know from past videos that my favorite 22 rifle is the Remington Model 581, and I've always looked for one of these. This is a Remington Model 582. The difference being that the 581 has a magazine at the bottom here. It's a box type magazine, and this one here has a tubular magazine. The 582 does. Now if you have a 580, you have a single shot that has no magazine at all. It's just a single shot 22 rifle that you load one at a time. Same action, same barrel, pretty much the same stock. And speaking of stocks, the reason it's taken me so long to find this one here is because I wanted one with a mahogany stock. This is a 1971 model, and after 1968 or 69, American gun makers were having a hard time finding walnut for their gun stocks, so Remington started using mahogany instead of walnut, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a 582 with a mahogany stock. I got this one for a really good price. You can still find these little guns, and I just recently got this one. The metal on this little rifle is in excellent condition. I mean, just absolutely wonderful. But the stock, if you look at it closely, it has a few dings and scratches here and there. You know, not bad, not terrible. There's the other side there. You can see a scratch right there. And you know, a few places where there's some stuff stuck to the finish. Here by the bolt handle, there's a little blemish right there on the stock. What I'm going to do is strip it down and refinish the stock and get it in really good shape. But as you can see here, make sure it's unloaded, if you look at the metal really closely, it's nearly flawless. I mean, there's just no rust whatsoever. There's the muzzle. You can see the muzzle's like brand new still. Tubular magazine is fully functional. Works great. Locks up good, you know. And looking at the bolt, look at the bolt face, folks. Hardly any wear at all on that bolt face. So I was fortunate enough to get this one at a very good price, and honestly speaking, I've been looking for one of these for about 2 or 3 years now, and I found one at a gun show that had a mahogany stock, and the guy wanted $375 for it, but it was in sad shape, honestly. It had rust all over the metal. It was pitted in a few places along the barrel here, and underneath, between the magazine and the barrel, you could see rust pitting in between. So I didn't even know what was underneath the stock, you know, how the metal was. I took this action out of the stock yesterday, and it's absolutely meticulously flawless. Not a speck of rust on it. So this one here is in excellent shape, but I had to pass on that one at the gun show that I was telling you about. The stock was broken right here through the handle, and somebody had tried to glue it together, and they put brass pins in there. It just looked horrible, and I just passed on that gun. I said, no, I'll wait till I find a better one, and I did. I found one in really good shape. And when I get the stock refinished, I'm going to mount a scope on here, and we'll get it out here and see how well that it'll actually group. I have a feeling it's going to be a good shooter. And I've got a scope already picked out for it. There, I'll give you a close-up. There you can see Remington Model 582. It also shoots 22 short, long, or long rifle. But for now, you know, I just wanted to get it out here and shoot it a little bit with open sights to make sure it was on. And out there at 50 yards, it looks like it's hitting pretty good. We'll take a few more shots with it, just because shooting a 22 is so much fun. It's cycling flawlessly. It has no hiccups whatsoever. I cleaned the trigger up on it a little bit. It was a tad stiff because it had some dried grease in it. I cleaned that out for safety reasons. And made sure that everything was working the way it should. I'm going to shoot at a target I see down there. I don't have an orange sticky on it, but I think I should be able to nail it with open sights. Let's give it a try here. Right on the money, folks. Can we hit it 5 out of 5 times? Let's try it. I think it's going to be a good shooter. So follow along with me. Let's get this gun cleaned up, mount a scope on it, and we'll do some accuracy testing when I get all that done. Well, my friends, I finally got this little Remington model 582 bolt action refinished and put back together, and to be honest with you, it took a little bit more doing to get a good satiny glossy finish on this stock, because mahogany is more porous, generally speaking, than walnut is. And walnut finishes up a little bit quicker, but I'll tell you what, the results were well worth it, because the wood on this little gun is just absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it really is. It's really nice. Here's a close-up of this rifle. I wanted to give you a close-up of the grain in the wood and just the gun overall, the condition of the gun. The metal is absolutely flawless. I mean, this gun is like brand new. Whoever owned this gun before took really good care of it, you know. That's the other side. This is the natural color of this wood. This is not stained. The early 1970s, American gun makers were having difficulty finding enough walnut to supply all of their rifles and shotguns with walnut stocks. So Remington, for one, used mahogany in place of walnut on a lot of their models, like the 580 series, the 590 series, the Model 788, and others, you know. And honestly speaking, it's really handsome wood. A little bit more reddish colored than walnut, but perfectly good stock wood for these rifles. I've got a 581 here on the table, and we'll do a side-by-side comparison between the two. But one thing that I noticed when I was looking for the Model 582, after doing some research on these little rifles, they made a Model 580, a 581 like I have here, and the 582, which I just showed you. And in the Model 580 and the 581, they made about 50,000 of each of those models, close to it, give or take. And in the Model 582, they made about 90,000, so nearly double of each of the other two models. Yet for some reason, I was having a harder time finding the 582 than either one of the other two. The 580 being pretty close. I just don't see very many of them available. I see more 581s than any others. I've encountered them more at gun shows and flea markets, pawn shops, places like that where people sell used guns, you know, used 22s. And that's the one model that I run across more than anything. But if you're looking for a nice one, like I did, looking for this model 582, have patience. You know, I often get a lot of comments by viewers saying, I just can't find one. You know, I'm looking for one, I really like to have one, and for some reason in my area they're just not available. Well, you need to look around, you know, look online. They're available online. The last one I saw at a pawn shop, I got it for $125. So, you know, that was a really good buy. And both of these rifles that I've got here on the table, I really don't want to give you the price, but it was around the $200 mark for each one, you know. So if you have some patience, practice some patience, you can still find these old vintage out of production 22s at good prices. You know, you just got to stumble across the right deal, and that's worth waiting for if you're looking for a good one. Now then, for a side-by-side comparison, here we have the model 581, like I've showed you many times in previous videos. It has the detachable box type magazine. Right here's the release for the magazine. The model 580 did not come equipped with a magazine. It's just a single shot. All this is closed, okay? There's nothing there. And this one came with a walnut stock. This is a first year production, model 581. The model 582, as you can see, has a tubular type magazine. Same action, same trigger, pretty much the same stock design, only it's a model 582. Still shoots 22 short, long, or long rifle, as you can see on the barrel there. Get that turned around where you can see that better. And the model 581 does the same thing. Short, long, or long rifle. And like their predecessors, which the 580 series rifles replaced, the model 510, the 511, and the 512, the last number is what designates the type of feeding mechanism. The model 510 was a single shot. The model 511, like the 581, had a detachable magazine, and the model 512, like the model 582, had this tubular magazine. So these rifles replaced their predecessors, you know, that were around for many years, and they were discontinued in 1967, and that's when these rifles came out. Now, if for some reason you cannot find any of the 580 series rifles, then the previous models that I mentioned, such as the 510, the 511, the 512, the 513, and I guess, well, I suppose I could include the model 514 as well. Those are all great shooting rifles. You know, there's really nothing wrong with them as long as you find one that's in good condition. And like I mentioned before, you know, if you're in the market for one, if it's a used rifle, then I would suggest maybe taking a bore snake or some type of bore cleaning device with you and a bore light, and take a look down the barrel. You know, if the barrel has rust in it, or it's pitted, or there's any irregularities, like maybe a bulge in the barrel where at one time there was something lodged in the barrel and someone fired around, you'll see a bulge in that barrel, which inside the barrel, if you look in there, you'll see a ring, you know, a black ring. Then you need to pass on that. And if the seller doesn't want you to look at that gun, doesn't want you to look down the barrel, then there's either something wrong with them or they're trying to hide something. Pass on that gun. You know, anybody that's trying to sell a gun, just like when you're buying a car, you're not going to buy a car without test driving it. You know, you want to look at that gun really closely and find a good one for yourself. And they're still available. They're still out there. I see them all the time, you know. You just got to be patient and look around. The only problem with buying a gun online like I did is you don't have the luxury of being there to inspect the gun closely, but I had a pretty good feeling about this one, and so far I've been very fortunate in buying these guns. In the past years I've bought, I don't know, probably 10 different guns online, and only one was a little bit questionable, you know. But either way, aside from the 580 series rifles, Remington also made the 540 series rifles, such as the model 541T, and if you're lucky enough, you can run across a model 541S, which both of those have been discontinued. And I've heard some rumors that Remington is reopening in Georgia. They're going to be moving out of Ilion, New York, and going to Georgia and reopening a factory there. Whether they'll bring any guns like this back, I don't think so, but that still remains a question. But if you are fortunate enough to find one of those, it's going to cost you. Trust me, they're very expensive. The model 541S especially, if it's in really good shape. But you know, from my experience, they're very well worth it. They're extremely accurate sporters. They're very handsome to look at. You know, they're just a fancy model 581 is really what they are. They came with factory walnut stocks with fore ends and grip caps that were rosewood. Not true rosewood. I think there was some type of polymer. But anyway, it looks really good on the gun. And they have cut checkering. The receivers have scroll work engraved into them, and also the trigger guard has some scroll work in it, and they're just a nicer, fancier version of that gun. And they generally shoot pretty well. You know, they're very accurate. If you have some good glass on the gun, you know, a good scope, then it should serve you quite well. But if you can't find that rifle and you run across one of these 580 series rifles, trust me, you're going to be very well pleased, because I have been in the past, and I own several of them, and I know other people that own them as well, and they're all good shooters, rifle after rifle after rifle. They're all great shooters, and a lot of it has to do with the action and the trigger mechanism. You know, they're just a really great design. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get some scope mounts put on this rifle and a good scope, and we'll sight it in and see how well it can perform at various ranges with different ammunition. So stick around. We're going to put this little gun to the test. Well guys, here I am back at my shooting bench. This is after work now, and I had to put on a t-shirt. I took my work shirt off and had to put on a t-shirt because it got warm today. It got right at 80 degrees, you know, with the sun out. Spring is definitely on the way, and looking forward to turkey hunting this year. But before we do all that, I want to get this little rifle sighted in. And first of all, I want to sight it in with open sights down here at 30 yards. I've got a target put up. I just want to see how well this gun is shooting at 30 yards with open sights, and then we'll go ahead and mount the scope. I've got some vintage deluxe scope rings from Burris, as you can see here. I just love these type of rings. They've got such a nice luster to them. Highly polished blued steel. How can you go wrong with that? And today I'm going to be shooting this gun with some CCI standard velocity, just to get it sighted in, and we'll test it out with some SK, some Ely, and I've got some new Federal Match ammunition here. This is the premium gold medal target ammo. Been wanting to try that stuff out anyway, so we'll give it a try today. So let's go ahead and get zeroed in and zoomed in on this target down here and see how well it performs with open sights. Okay, this time I'm going to adjust my hold a little bit higher because I could see those shots went quite a bit low. And I was holding a little bit lower anyway. So let's try this with a dead on hold. Well, that's a little bit high, but still pretty good grouping. I'll tell you what, I'm going to adjust that just a little bit more. That ought to be just about right on for around 50 yards. All right, here we go. Maybe we can get some of these in the orange with open sights. Alrighty, folks. Okay, my friends, I think I got this rifle sighted in pretty well at 30 yards. I went ahead and flipped that target around, and we're going to be shooting at the top target. Just disregard that one bullet hole that you see down there at around 7 o'clock. That was just a sight-in shot. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot 5 rounds. I think that one was right next to the bullseye there. Okay, last round at this distance. Looks pretty good from here. Okay, friends, now we're going to shoot at 50 yards. I got 3 targets set up down there, and we're going to shoot the target on the far right first. This is using CCI standard velocity. All right, I think I see some bullet holes in that target down there. That's a tiny target from here. All right, next we're going to try some of these SK Standard Plus rounds, and these have always done real well for me. Now we're going to be shooting at the middle target. All right. Now we're going to try some of these Federal Premium gold medal target. I don't know how good these are, but I've never tried these before, folks, so I really have no idea how well these will shoot. Okay, we'll be shooting at the far left target. All right. Okay, my friends, I know it's getting a little bit dark out here, a little bit dusky, but I think you can still see those targets down there at 50 yards. And we're going to see if we can connect with some of those steel targets down there. Incidentally, the magazine holds 14, in case you didn't know. So let's get started. We're going to shoot at that squirrel on the far left first. Okay. Now the bunny rabbit, see if we can make a headshot on him. That's rabbit for supper. And there's another squirrel there. Let's see if we can make a headshot on that one. There's a little tiny target stuck on the head of that one. Yep. No problem. Okay. I see a swinging target on the far left. We'll go for that big one first. We got to break this new 22 in right and shoot it at our 50-yard range here. Just like all the rest of them, folks. Now the one in the middle that's still swinging. And then there's one just to the right of that, a little tiny one. See if we can connect with that. Yep. And let's clean those other targets off. We got two swinging targets on the right. All right. That was easy. And then the one next to it. I see a little bitty target right out front there. It's hiding in the leaves. Let's see if we can sneak one in there. I think it went right through it. I'll tell you what, that swinging target on the far left still has some orange, as do the others, but let's see if we can clean that off. Yep. Last round. I want to make that little target at the front there, that one hiding in the leaves. I want to try to make it go airborne. I want to aim at the bottom of that. Yep. There it went. Okay, that rabbit still has some target left on the head of it, and it's kind of leaning forward there. Let's see if we can clean some of that off. Well, I hit it, and that was the last round. Always got to have a little fun with the 22. So let me talk about these targets before we close out the video. So my friends, here are the targets that we shot using the Remington 582 here. This is with open sights at 30 yards. I aimed low, and that's what I got. 5 shots right there at the bottom. One of them went a little bit high. That was probably me, the way I was holding the gun. And then I decided to hold a little bit higher, and I grouped 5 shots right here on top, as you can see, 5 clustered together. And then I aimed where just a little bit of this orange was showing above the front sight, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. 5 shots right there in the orange. That's not too bad with open sights. At least I know those sights are on in case I ever want to take the scope off. And then of course at 30 yards there I sighted it in using standard velocity from CCI, and they all clustered together right there into one ragged hole. And then at 50 yards, this was the first 5-shot group using CCI standard velocity. Not bad, could be better. And then the second group was just phenomenal, folks. This is using SK Standard Plus. This stuff just really performs very well. I mean, if you've never tried this, I've said it before in other videos, give this stuff a try. It's really good. Costs a little bit, but man, I'm telling you, with groups like that, even though this one was outside of the group, that one right there, that still can easily be covered with a nickel, you know. And that little group right there at top can be covered with a shirt button. That's 4 shots, all holes touching there. And then using this Federal gold medal target, it was kind of meh, not bad, not great, but not too bad. Shot a little bit high, and 3 of them were right there together, but then we had 2 that were about, an inch and an eighth or so apart at 50 yards. That's not too bad, but like I've said before, you know, no matter what rifle that you have, what type of gun, you need to try different brands of ammunition, different styles and everything, to see what your gun in particular likes. Well, my friends, I decided to wait a couple of days until the sun popped back out and I got better lighting. This afternoon, this is Saturday, the temperatures have gone up a little bit because it got really cold the last couple of days. The first day when I shot this video, it was like 80 degrees and I was out here in a t-shirt, but last 2 days been really cool, and it got down to like 40 degrees. But today it warmed up a little bit, got up to about 65 or so. And I'm glad that I waited until I got better lighting, because this is also going to give me the chance to give a shout out to a dear friend of mine, Wayne Jenkins, who sent me the shooting bag. This is a Caldwell tack driver to stabilize your rifle or shotgun or whatever it is you want to sight in and test out. I'm not sure what's in this bag, but it's a really heavy duty bag, and should last for years and years, and it'll greatly aid me as far as sighting in rifles and making videos. So thanks a lot, Wayne. I really appreciate it. You've been a big part of this channel for a couple of years now, and I consider you a true friend. And for everything that you've done for the channel, I wanted to give you a big shout out. I really appreciate it. Well, folks, I took the scope off of this little rifle because I want to shoot it with open sights again. I've got the target set up down here at 30 yards, and then I've got the steel targets I want to try to shoot at with open sights again, because sometimes, you know, it's just fun to use open sights. I mean, you're not quite as accurate or as precise in your shooting as you would be with a scope, but
nonetheless, I want to make sure these sights are right on the money, because occasionally I just like to come out here and plink with open sights, and sometimes I hunt with open sights as well. So let's take a few shots downrange and see how well this gun will do on a day where I got a little better lighting. Okay, first of all, I'm going to get zoomed in on this 30-yard target, and we'll see how well this little rifle can do with these open sights. I think I know kind of where to hold now. I was holding too low previously, and then I shot too high, and then finally I think I got it pretty well centered up. But we're going to give it 5 shots here. Yeah, this shooting bag is really nice. It really cradles the gun. Not sure where that one went. I really need to put a new platform on this table. This one here is a little bit wobbly. This gun has a perfect trigger, I'm telling you. Just a joy to shoot this little rifle. I think I'm hitting in the orange. Can't really tell. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in on those targets down there at 50 yards. And we'll see if we can connect with those at that distance. Once again, I've got the 2 squirrels, the rabbit, and then the swinging targets at the bottom. So let's try the swinging target on the far left. See if we can hit that with open sights. Let's see if I can hit that target right next to it there. That looked like a good hit. Yep. That was a hard hit right there. I'm going to challenge myself to that little bitty target that's just to the right of the one I just shot. That front sight is absolutely covering that entire target there at 50 yards. Did I hit it? I guess I did. Sound like I hit it. Wow. It's a good shooting little rifle. Okay, I see a swinging target on the far right there. And there's one right next to it there. Let's give it a try. Yep. Okay. I'm going to load up a few more rounds because I'm not done shooting yet. This thing about shooting a 22, it's just so much fun. I just absolutely love it. Guess that's why the 22 is the most popular rifle and pistol, just because they're just so much fun to shoot. All right, let's try that squirrel on the far left there. Okay. Let's try the one on the far right. Well, I heard metal, but I still see the squirrel. Let me hit him again, if I can. I believe he fell that time. All right, that rabbit's staring right at me. See if we can pop him. All right, that target that's on the far left, that swinging target with that yellow stick on target, I want to try and clean that off. Let me see if we can do that. Let's give it another try. I know I hit it. I see like a chunk missing out of it. Yeah, that was being stubborn. That rabbit, he's kind of hanging on for dear life over there. Let's send another one his way. See if we can ring his bell. I think it's glancing off of him, but I still see him. Yeah. I hear metal, but I don't know exactly where it's hitting. Those targets are pretty small at 50 yards, and that front sight just about obscures what you're seeing down there. So I got to try to keep it on there as steady as I can, and there's a little bit of guesswork involved. So anyway, the gun seems to be shooting very true though, and that's what I was after. Well folks, here's the target that I shot at 30 yards with open sights, and I was able to actually keep all the shots inside this little stick-on dot. And to be honest with you, at that distance, that front sight completely covers that disc right there. If you see any orange on the side of the sight or on top or whatever, you know, your shots are going to be outside of that circle. You're going to be hitting over here or down here. Just like I did at the beginning of the video, I didn't know where that gun was shooting. I didn't know where it was hitting. But now that I've got a pretty good idea where that open sight, I mean, it's dead on. You know, you got to just hold it right on. And that's the kind of accuracy you'll get. So I'm well pleased with how well that little rifle shoots. And I really like this, this shooting bag that Wayne sent me. It really helped me stabilize that gun. And as you could see, I connected with those targets down there at 50 yards, no problem. Because that really helped stabilize my hold. Well guys, before I close out this video, I wanted to give you another really close look at this little rifle. It's been a long time coming, and a lot of you have asked me to review one of these guns, bring it to you on this channel. And you know, I ran across several others, just like I said earlier in the video, but there was always something wrong with the gun. You know, it either had rust on it that was so bad that it was pitted, or the bluing was so worn down that it really needed to be re-blued. The stocks were either cracked or broken or just really gouged and in bad shape. So I wanted to wait until I found one that was in great shape, like this one here, with this type of stock. You know, this is that mahogany like I was talking about, and I think you can see that in the late afternoon sun. If you can see the highlights and the grain of that wood, I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. I love the color of this wood. And it goes to show that these guns are still out there. They're still available. If you just practice some patience, you'll find a good one for yourself, you know. And if you're lucky, you can either find one with this type of stock, or you can find an earlier one with a black walnut stock, you know. And if you want to learn how to refinish them and get a really nice finish like this here, I've got a video in my channel that goes over that in detail. So look that up. I should actually leave a link. I'll leave a link in the description below. But you know, just like I was talking about at the beginning of the video, the metal on this wood is like brand new still. I mean, look at that. Even the trigger guard and the bottom metal, everything's in really great condition. Look at the barrel, you know, look at the muzzle crown. It's got a little bit of powder fouling on there from where we shot it, but still, you know, that gun, it hasn't been used much at all. I'll take the bolt out and show you that again real quick. It's got a little bit of wear, and mostly from when I shot it. It's got a little bit of metal showing there, but honestly, this gun has not been shot much at all. I mean, if you look at that bolt face, you know, you can see it a little bit better now in that afternoon sun. The locking lugs still have bluing on them, you know, they're still in pristine condition. I mean, this gun, like I said, hasn't been used much. What probably happened is some old guy probably got it and took it out and shot it a few times, brought it in, cleaned it, maybe wiped it down with an oilcloth or something and put it away, you know, locked it away in a closet or whatever. And just because he didn't clean it doesn't mean that the barrel would rust out, because just like I mentioned before in another video, .22 ammunition has a coating on the outside of the bullet, you know, that waxy coating, and when you fire it, it actually coats the inside of the bore, so it protects the bore. You know, that little bit of powder fouling that's inside the barrel is not going to hurt a thing. Now, he didn't clean the barrel on this gun, but that didn't matter, because modern .22 rimfire ammunition, just like I talked about before in a previous video, has a waxy coating on the bullet, and when you fire around through the barrel, that waxy coating on the outside of that bullet actually gets deposited on the lands and inside the grooves of that rifle bore, thereby actually preserving it, you know. And that gun can sit for years and years, but that coating on there will keep moisture from rusting the barrel. A lot of times what happens, what I've noticed, is when people put a gun like this in a case and then they zip it up and put it in a closet somewhere, that moisture that's inside that case will cause that gun to corrode. So, you know, take your guns and use a lightly oiled cloth like this soft cotton cloth here. All I've got on here is mineral oil. You can get a bottle of mineral oil at Walmart for $1, and it'll last you forever. You just put a few tablespoons of the oil on a cloth like this, a nice soft cloth, and wring it out, you know, get it where it'll distribute evenly throughout the cloth. And you don't want it where it's wet. You just want to be able to feel just a little bit of oil on there, just barely. You don't need a lot, folks. And then just wipe down the metal, you know, get it wiped down. Everywhere you've touched with your hands, your fingerprints can potentially rust, especially if you live in a humid climate, you know, a humid environment like here in the southeast. You always want to wipe your guns down, and you can use this cloth on the finish too. It's not going to hurt anything. Mineral oil is so mild, you can actually drink it and use it as a laxative, folks. It's not going to hurt you. There's nothing harmful in mineral oil. It's all natural, you know. It's definitely not going to hurt your gun. But get it wiped down. You don't necessarily have to clean the barrel each and every time on a .22. I think over cleaning sometimes will hurt the gun more than anything, you know. So if you've got a fine old piece like this, preserve it and fix yourself an oilcloth like I did. All my guns, this is what I wipe them down with before I put them away, and I have not had a speck of rust on any of them for decades and decades, because this is what I use. And you know, it gets quite humid and hot here in the summertime, and a lot of times I get my guns out here in the summer just to have fun, come out here and plink with them. But before I go back in the house, I clean them and wipe them down with an oil cloth, because that humidity is going to get on that gun. So anyway, you know, these old guns deserve nothing but the best of care, because that just aren't making them like they used to. You know, they don't make guns of this quality unless you pay a lot of money. But since these old guns have been discontinued, you know, they deserve to be taken care of, because it'll teach the future generation about what a quality gun ought to look like and what it ought to shoot like, you know. These will be passed on. These are heirlooms. But for now, they're going to be proud additions to my collection. And I'll be featuring what I've got on my channel. And that's the purpose of the channel, really, to be able to share with you experiences that I have in the woods, or if I'm fishing or whatever, and also to share with you these guns, because it kind of gives you an idea of what to look for. You know, if you want a nice old piece of equipment like this for yourself, doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be a Remington or a Winchester or Marlin or whatever. It's just whatever floats your boat, you know. I'm just out here showing you how well they shoot and how they perform, so that you can have an idea and fit your needs, you know, for whatever purposes you might need it for. So with that being said, let me wish you well and thank you once again. And remember, if you like to go hunting, fishing, camping, shooting, hiking, whatever your outdoor pursuit happens to be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. But also remember this: hit that like button, smash that bell icon, and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this one will be coming your way. So until next time, this is the Cumberland Outdoorsman, wishing you well once again. Y'all take care. Get out there and shoot your 22s. But also, remember, turkey season's coming up. If you haven't gone out and scouted for turkeys, now's the time to do it. So get out there and enjoy the great outdoors. I'll be seeing you. Okay, see those cams down there? Which one are you shooting at first? Take your time with it. Yes, it's a light trigger. Put it right on it. Take your time with it. Don't hurry. There's two down there at 50 yards. Yeah. There you go.